The Gearcrafter's Vault. One of the new items introduced in the Gear update, the Gearcrafter's Vault, is one of the best and most impactful items in the history of Trove. And in this video, I'm going to try to explain why I feel these boxes are going to be a great addition to the game and a great step in the right direction. Now, in this video, I will be mentioning the gear crafting profession constantly, so if you want to know everything regarding this profession and how to max it out, then I'll link that in the description down below. Like always, don't forget to drop a like, it does help me out more than you think, and also subscribe for my ego, I guess. Shut your stupid. Very close to 5.2k, so why not? And also, before I continue with this video, I feel this in my soul and I'm just going to mention this, and that is going to be in regards to the gear update release date on console. I have no clue. I have been getting that constantly, so if I know the release date, I will let you know, which is probably going to take a couple of months, or if you're playing on X, or probably never. With all that being said, let's start talking about these boxes. First of all, let me explain what are going to be the Gearcrafter's Vault. Gearcrafter's Vault is going to be a standard box that drops resources mainly used for the gearcrafting profession. Stuff like chapestone, formatite infiniums, or the common ores that I like to call them, alongside stuff like miner's trove, which also draws even more resources. Gearcrafter's mold, temper and regular block elements, which are going to be items normally used for the gearcrafter profession. Gear, which is your standard hand, weapon and faces that you can equip, which I'll explain how the rarity works in a little bit. And very rarely tradable mounts and ally exclusive to these boxes, which are going to be very rare. I haven't gotten one of them as a drop, so if you get one of them, consider yourself lucky. All of these are good and all, but how about obtainability? None of these mean anything if getting the box is going to be very difficult. Well, this is one of the biggest reasons why this is going to be a great item and a great addition to the game, and that is going to be how easy they are to drop. These boxes will guaranteed drop from any dungeon chest after Uber 1 difficulty, or any world bosses that you do defeat. The higher the Uber, the more that you're going to get. I have been hearing that grinding something like Uber 6 is going to be the one that is going to be the most efficient in terms of grinding this vault. However, from my own personal experience after using the brand new account, and from a new player's perspective, which, by the way, I will make a video on how I managed to get myself to 30,000 power rank in less than a week, and these boxes were a big part of it. But anyways, from my experience, you really don't need to grind Uber 6. These boxes drop for every world bosses and every dungeon chest, so just stick around doing just your standard grinding, and you're going to get a lot of these boxes. Don't focus on just grinding Uber 6 if you can find yourself more benefit by grinding other Uber portals. You can also obtain them for crafting anything in the Gearcrafter's profession or the Gearcrafter's bench, and also unlocking major nodes in the Gearcrafter's terminus. But honestly, those methods shouldn't even be considered as good method for obtaining these vaults. Now, since they're very easily obtainable and doesn't require anything, it means that every single player can obtain them as soon as they pretty much start the game. And like I mentioned before, you can get gear as a rare drop, and these boxes also do have a karma bar, so 70 vault is going to be a guaranteed rare drop, making the gear drop quite easily accessible. However, in order for you to get yourself the higher tier of gear, you need the higher rank in the gearcrafting profession, or in other words, depending on the highest tier of gear that you can craft inside the profession, that's the one that you're going to get from the vault. For example, if you can craft up to Radiance, then you're going to get Radiance from the vault. If you can craft up to Stellar, then you can get Stellars. And of course, once you do max it out at rank 250, then that's when you're going to start getting yourself crystal gear. Now, the level of crystal gear is going to be dependent on the power rank of the character that opened the chest. So always make sure to be on your highest class while opening these boxes. However, from what I've noticed while I was using the brand new account, I was getting crystal level 4 as low as 19,000 power rank. Of course, it was mixed up with crystal level 3 as well. And after 30,000 power rank, that's when I noticed that you can actually just get exclusive crystal level 4 as rare drop. And after 45,000 power rank, that's when crystal level 5 gets mixed in alongside crystal level 4. And this will always drop with 2 stars and sometimes with 3 stars available, which is great not only for loot collecting purposes but also upgrading that gear. This is going to require less resources to max it out. So always remember the Gearcrafter's rank, the profession, will determine the tier of the gear, and the power rank is going to determine the level of the crystal gear once you actually max out the profession. And yeah, that's going to be all of the basics regarding this box. Now, why is this such a great addition to the game? First of all, they're very easy to obtain and doesn't require anything to get them as a drop outside of being in any Uber portal, so any player can get them and see benefits from it. Second, These boxes will allow you to get common resources passively, so these are going to be boxes that are going to work similar to Tome, as in you are going to get items that normally you have to go out of your way to get them, but this time around you're going to get them passively, like Chapestone, Formacite, Infinium, and so on and so forth. Third, since Gearcrafting Profession is going to be very easy to max out and it does have a karma bar guaranteeing a rare drop after 70 boxes, it means that you don't have to fully rely on pure RNG or carries to get yourself the higher level crystal gear at lower power ranks or stats. So it didn't make sense why gear was much more difficult than gems in terms of attainability despite granting less stats, and this also makes stuff like crystalline cores, a resource that was previously very tedious, much easier to obtain because you can obtain those crystal gear with 2 or 3 stats. TLDR, this will give all players a smoother gear progression. Fourth, these boxes are always useful, even after finishing the Gearcrafting Profession, which I cannot say the same thing with certain item maximizer, because it will drop items required to max out crystal level 5 gear, which is going to be the temper block elements, which of course is going to take a little while for you to max it out. And even after maxing out, you can still get yourself common resources and a rare chance of obtaining a tradable ally or a mount, making them a good source of extra flux making. And fifth, since these are going to be boxes, it means that you actually have the option to open them whenever you want. So if you're very close to maxing out the Gearcrafting Profession and you want to wait it out, then you can just hold them and just wait out until you max out the Gearcrafting Profession, so you can get yourself more chances of getting more crystal gear. Or if you are very close to the power run required to get yourself the next tier of gear, like for example you're very close to 30,000 power rank, then you don't have to open them and you can just save them until you do reach to the power rank milestone, so you can guarantee yourself better gear drop, making these boxes extremely flexible in general. And since these are going to be also a universal box, it means that no matter the Uber that you're doing, it means that you're always going to get the same box, which is unlike something like gem boxes where, for example, there's going to be different boxes for different Uber portals. This being universal, it means that you can just go wherever you want and you're always going to get the same rewards no matter what, which of course makes the progression very constant and very consistent. And yeah, that's the Gearcrafter's Vault, one of the best things added in the Trove, and hopefully more items get added like this, since it does help out with one of the problems regarding this game, and that is going to be the gear progression. Note, this doesn't affix any absurd prices for like crystal level 5 with nitro cost, but this makes the whole gear progression much smoother and much better. Thanks for watching.